Pops.
Hello, Father.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I have never, ever called Dad Pops. I
Oh, really?
think one of the main questions I have is, when did you, Darren, start calling Dad Pops? Because that's never been a thing for me.
Oh, yeah, it's. I mean, I suppose. At one time it used to be old man.
Yes, I do remember that one.
But
And when
it's.
did
I
that
think it's.
stop fitting?
I don't know. I just started calling him Pops.
Because Darren became an old man.
That's true. Yeah. When I became an old man, when the gray hair started to show up on my side, then I was like, oh, I don't really want to open that door.
So you went with the 1950s Pops.
Yeah. Hi, Pops.
Pops.
Like usually when like he calls or I call him, it's hey Pops or hi Pops, one of the two. And so yeah, that's how the podcast name started.
See, I always pick up and say, "Yo, Dad," or that's about what I say. "Yo, Dad."
Maybe
Yeah.
it could be
Right?
Yo Pops.
It could be Yo Pops, but that seems off-brand for me.
It does. Pops is just not part of your repertoire.
Not my jam.
Not
No,
your jam.
no. I do Father.
I prefer
Father.
Hello, Father.
Hello,
Hello,
Father.
Father. Like I used to do with Mom. Hello, Mother.
Mother. Well, I think I used to call Mom Ma. It would always be like, Ma.
You did.
True.
I would do Ma, Mother, and I think sometimes Mom, but Ma I would do as well. But that was definitely how you greeted Mother.
Yep, for sure.
Hey, Ma.
Well, Kelly, welcome to the High Pops podcast. You are officially the second guest because, Pops had to be the first guest because it only made sense that way. But you are guest number 2 for the High Pops podcast.
I don't know. I would like to dispute that and say I'm guest number 1.
I think that's
Because
true.
yes, thank you. Because I feel like Pops is the star of the show,
I'm
not a
kind of
guest.
I'm the sidekick or something.
Sidekick, yeah. Like you guys are like co-stars, and
Co-star.
I would be guest number 1 because
So
I'm number 1.
you just want to be
Nice
number
and-
1. I see what you did there.
Kind of
Yeah.
touched on this already, but before we get going too far, let's talk about our attire.
Let's do that.
Okay. Who goes
So
first?
you go first, Kelly.
Okay, so today I am sporting this lovely sweater, which was made by Grandma Betts. I think she made it in the 80s, but I'm not sure about the actual timeline. But it's pretty sweet because let me show off the pockets. I got pockets. And so it's holding up pretty well. She made some quality gear. And so I call this look because of the flannel and the sweater, lumberjack glamour.
Lumberjack glam.
Yeah, it's trending.
It's trending. Absolutely. I can already see it's trending.
and Grandma Betts was knitting a lot. I'm not going to say all the time because she was very busy and with lots of other activities, but she was knitting sweaters and all kinds of things.
I think we
I
all
have
got
4
sweaters
of
at one
these.
point.
Yeah, we all got
Yeah.
sweaters. I mean, you all
And
got
I have
sweaters.
4 of these in different colors
Nice.
currently in my closet. So yeah, it is a
Nice.
look I sport frequently at work, and so we go by lumberjack glamour.
And Pops is
Yes.
he went from the tie and the button up from episode 1 to Joe Cool.
Now this is some attire that I put together for when we had a video shoot for a jazz band. So this is
Oh.
what I wore with the Levi's, and let's see if I can get this here. I'll just take it off with the cool shoe.
Ah,
The Vans.
Vans, yeah.
So I thought, oh, we'll revisit that. So that's the. Not going to take these off because it's a lot easier to see.
I was wondering if those were going to be sported the whole time.
There we go.
Now, Big D, do you want to describe your attire?
Yeah, I'm going for Catholic priest. That's what I'm going
Okay.
for today is, I've joined the clergy.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
I think it works. I don't think anybody's buying it though.
No, not in the slightest.
All right, K-Dog.
Can we also just quickly mention that this is a morning podcast?
It is a morning podcast.
And so yeah, not all the brain cells are fired up for me just yet, but we'll see.
See, we did it later in the morning, or maybe it's not so later in the morning for you all, because wanted to make sure that you had enough time for coffee, but you're usually an early riser, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, yes-ish, but my sweet Hannah dog, who is 18 years old, keeps me up at night. So
yeah,
I'm usually up with her between 1 and 3 a.m. and then I sleep again. So I sleep whenever she sleeps. So
gotcha.
I did not wake up this morning until 7:30 a.m. So I was running around a lot to accommodate things.
Is that late for you, or is that early?
That's late. Yeah.
I didn't wake up till 8.
See, 7:30 is
Oh,
pretty
you woke
early.
up at 8? Well, so for me, I have to get up and I have to do a lot of things for Hannah to get her up and running, and that usually takes about 45 minutes. So
Yeah.
didn't give me a lot of time.
Gotcha. Well,
But yeah, 7:30 is late.
And before we get too far along, I wanted to play a little something, just something short. Won't take too much time. Are you ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Well, there you go. I think you can tell us why that was being played, Darren.
Because I am an old man of the age of 24.
At least, yeah.
24
Plus.
times 2.
There you go. Time. Let's multiply. There you go.
I'm not good at multiplication, so we'll just leave it at 24.
Says the fellow with a math degree.
Shh. That was many years ago.
Is it gone now? All the knowledge?
Back when I was 22.
I was just calculating in my brain how old you might be, but we'll leave that.
It is really
It is
24 times 2.
Yeah, 48.
That literally is, yes.
Yeah, it literally is. Literally.
Okay, sorry for the diversions. Go ahead.
No worries.
No, it is Darren's birthday today. I was like, are we doing
Happy
this as a
birthday.
birthday podcast?
Yeah.
And what did you buy me for your birthday?
I bought you the world.
Wow.
It was quite spendy, so make sure you make good use of it.
Seems like some responsibility that I'm disinterested in. So
no takes backs. No takes backs.
I think that means he bought you an oyster.
An oyster.
Yeah.
The world is your oyster.
I
get it. Honey. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the
that's the pop puns.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a new segment right there.
Yeah, right?
Pops puns.
Pops puns. I do think that is something that Dad always did, was drop a pun whenever it was necessary or unnecessary.
It's built into all Dad's DNA.
Yeah.
I think that's.
But I
true.
think you might be very, very talented at it.
Oh, you're definitely skilled. The skills are
highly
for real.
Skilled pun fella.
No.
Okay.
Well, Kelly, we did write up a big quick bio for you just to kind of introduce everybody to you. So I'm going to just dive into what we put together. Kelly was born on January 7th in Canoga Park, California. She graduated from San Diego State with a bachelor's degree in kinesiology.
You like the way we went from birth to college?
Oh, I know that was rapid. That was rapid, but this is what one of the few photos of me.
The
as a
I knew
baby.
that. I knew that was going
This
to
is
come up.
coming,
The
Dad, Father.
milestone in between birth and college, somewhere along the way, was that.
And this is apparently May of 1977. So the year I was born, just a few months
A
old.
few months old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 4 or
Pretty
5
cool
months
looking,
old.
I gotta say.
Those are the two
It's all
photos
right.
we have.
Those are the 2 photos we have.
All right. So before we go any further, we do have to bring this up because everybody must know that there are apparently no photos of me as a child, as a baby.
I knew this was
because,
coming
Dad,
up.
the story that I was told, and you can correct me, is that
There were lots of photos.
the film containing the pictures of me as a child, who is just 1 year younger than Darren, were stolen from a vehicle in Los Angeles.
Sure.
Thus, no pictures exist of me, but strangely, several pictures exist of Darren.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, I think we know the answer to that.
What's happening here?
I think
I think it's obvious.
I think that should be kind of flattering to you. You know, somebody wanted your pictures.
Oh, that's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah. The crime rate in Los Angeles is just really out of control. I mean, even was back in 1977.
And they just knew what was on that undeveloped film.
Absolutely.
They were like,
It was
oh
actually,
yeah,
it was actually. Now, just to be clear, it was actually the camera and everything. It was one of those cheap little cameras with the film in it. So the
yeah.
whole camera was stolen, film and all.
Okay, well, I'll give you that makes more sense than just the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of organization is just going around stealing film?
Yeah.
Like, what's in it for them?
Well, I mean, a star was born, so I mean,
Right.
That's true. I'm kind of a big deal, so I get it. But seriously, why are there pictures of Darren in a crib, and I should have been around as well?
Nobody wanted to steal it. Nobody wanted to steal his film.
But why in the same room? Or like,
and it's not like mom and dad didn't try. I mean, they left it out in parks deliberately, and somehow the film made it back.
they were like, please, someone take this.
Someone take this. We don't want it anymore, but it kept finding its way back. So there you go.
I'm just saying, this is some suspiciousness that we still don't know what's really the story here.
Yeah. We could
Not
devote
buying
a
it.
whole episode to family conspiracies.
Actually, I think we should.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll let you carry on with about me, but
Oh, yeah.
that was also about
Because
me.
you are a big deal.
I know.
Well,
In my
while
head.
attending San Diego State, she started a web design company and also worked at HMR managing the marketing and web design.
Now, what's HMR?
It was actually IHM,
Oh,
but
see, I
we
knew
sold
this.
HMR products.
There might be a few details in here that we may have gotten a little wrong, but I think by and large, it's all pretty
And
accurate.
what is
It's
or
pretty
was
close.
IHM?
IHM was a weight loss clinic out in San Diego. They had a brick and mortar, but we also decided to launch an e-com website and market that. And that's what I did for 15 years was develop, market, and maintain that with some folks out in San Diego who were awesome, Jeff and Sherry. And then the website was sold to HMR. So that was
okay.
exciting.
So
Yeah,
it was
HMR then
eventually
purchased it,
HMR.
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I did go work for HMR for a period of time to migrate over the website to their platform.
And the web design company that you also started was Ravenbox. Is that what it was?
It was, and that was started mostly by Chauncey, and Chauncey named it Raven Box, which is after his daughter. Her name is Raven,
Gotcha.
and there's a story about a raven that opens a box and brings the sun to the world, and I think that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
So that's why it was named Raven Box.
Opposite of Pandora's box.
Opposite, yeah. So also in the last few years, you've gotten involved in real estate development, and currently you work for Warren Buffett designing real estate management software. That's correct, right?
Totally. That's what it is. Nailed it again.
Nailed
like,
it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And then in your free time, I know that you enjoy hiking, climbing, and base jumping with your BFF, Brad Pitt, and Matt Damon.
Yeah. I mean, we like to base jump. What am I going to do? Just it's what we do. And It's just we clicked really well, and we
I
were
know
like, let's
that's
go jump off some buildings and cliffs and such. And so we do that often.
yep, and I know that's that knit sweater comes in handy when you're base jumping, right?
It's critical. It's
It's
it's critical to the rest of the ensemble that
yeah.
goes along with base jumping.
So you're a base
Yeah.
jumping glamour,
Yeah. Well, and lumberjack glamour
lumberjack glamour,
specifically. It's really not at
jumping
all
off
strange.
buildings. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
normal. It's kind of
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people doing it.
everybody's doing it. Who
I
isn't doing it?
just one amongst many.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have no pictures.
We have no pictures. That film was also stolen.
It just continues my whole life. My film gets stolen. There's
Yep.
no proof of all these amazing things that I've accomplished and done, and
This
celebrity
podcast will
friends.
eventually get stolen.
I know it's never gonna make it anywhere.
It's
So
never gonna make it.
who
anywhere.
cares?
Who cares? Let's just call it. So how are Brad and Matt these days? When was the last time you saw them?
I chatted with them yesterday, because we do a regular Friday sort of like catch up what's been going on
sure.
since
Yeah.
the day before when I saw them. So we pretty much talk every day.
Yeah.
And so they're doing all right. They've got some struggles. I got to help them through it. They're kind of high maintenance, guys.
What would they do without you?
I know, like it's like, gosh, leave me alone a little. Give me some me time, Brad.
Are you involved helping Brad write Meet Joe Black too?
Yeah, totally. Which there's a story there too, obviously.
Are you aware of the huge animosity between Matt Damon and Jimmy Kimmel?
No. Is
Oh,
there
haven't
really?
I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah, it's a thing.
It's a kind of a comedy thing, but if you ever watch the show, sometime they just hate each other or pretend to.
Or pretend to, yeah.
Well, when I talk to Matt, he tells me about this nemesis that he has, but he's never named him because he refuses to say his name. So I suspect that's who he's
Yeah.
speaking of. So
It's definitely it.
yeah, I guess I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go on.
No, you're good. So Meet Joe Black 2 is, in the works. My
Totally.
big question for you is, will you be taking Dad and Kyle to the premiere?
Dad and Kyle are never allowed to go to movies with me again. All they do is make fun of movies that I want to see. Okay, so the story here is I'm very
we gotta
excited
do
to
the story.
see Meet Joe Black. And I think I was living in San Diego at the time, but I had come to Idaho Falls to visit the fam. And I was like, let's go see Meet Joe Black because obviously it's amazing and I love Brad Pitt. So we go to see it. Dad and Kyle right away start just making fun of the movie the entire time they continue. It just nonstop. I don't even know how you guys come up with so many things to make fun of in a movie, but so you kind of ruined my Brad moment.
And is it still your favorite movie? Is Meet Joe Black still your favorite? Is up there, or has it kind of faded?
No, it's faded. He's done a lot more movies that I think kind of top that one.
Oh, really?
So,
but it's still all things Brad Pitt, right?
No, I've expanded my movie watching. I guess male actors.
Yeah.
What?
There's now Matt Damon.
Oddly, I haven't seen a lot of the Matt Damon films. What's the one that he's done that he's got a whole series?
The Bourne movies are awesome.
Yeah. And Peaches loves the Bourne, and I've never seen them. So
you gotta see the first. You need to see.
I think Mom loved them too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I never watched them because I was like, that's not my jam.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Anyway.
I told Matt, I was like, that's not my jam.
Has he forgiven you?
Yeah, he's a little hurt, but
he'll get over it.
We've ironed out the kinks in our relationship. It's fine.
Well, we've obviously had some fun with your bio a little bit. Obviously, you do not work for Warren Buffett, and you may not know Brad Pitt and Matt Damon as well as we may have let on. But what have you been doing these days? What are you doing these days?
Oh, do you want to know what I'm doing for work?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the past few years, I've been doing land development out here in Boise, which is sort of ranges from land acquisition, like agricultural land, to running it through the entitlement process through the city to hopefully get it approved and annexed to become a subdivision or a mixed use little facility. So I'm working for a company now that I help them out with some land planning and project management there. They also have a software development side of their company that I help them with the marketing currently and some of the database architecture. So
Cool.
that's my world right now.
Sounds like it is a lot.
This is wait, do I still have my hold on, I'm gonna do this.
We're taking a tour.
I know. Oh, you can't really see it because of the light, but there's a little cloud bubble thing up there and it
Yeah.
says land.
Land.
Yeah, so usually that's my land bubble when I'm in meetings.
Oh, really?
I think it's funny. So it just has a little land bubble above my head.
Oh,
They're like, does that say land above your head? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm always thinking about land.
Thinking
It's
about
always
land.
there, constantly.
Yeah. So
now
that's-
So-
can you while you're talking about land development, can you? I couldn't find the picture, but can you tell us about the one that you developed where you got to name the roads?
yeah, and I do. Okay, we're gonna go on another tour. This could
I
be
love
like
it.
a walking podcast.
I love it.
I do have, I think. Let me see. Well, I should have been a little more prepared with this because I do have the drawings, but there was a development that we were putting together for Meridian, Idaho that was called the Ranch. And you get to name the streets when you're doing a subdivision. And so I named a few streets and I'm trying to remember what I named them. I should have been prepared for this.
Yeah,
They were
unfortunately,
cross streets. One of them was named for mom, and one of them was named for you, and then they, crossed. And unfortunately, that development did not get approved. So I'll have to find another project to put those names on,
Oh,
or unless that project gets reran through the city and actually gets developed at some point. But right now, those street names are not coming.
Oh, that's
But
too
I'm hoping to change that.
bad.
I think it was like Kathy's Way and
Yeah.
oh, it was Davy Street and Kathy's Way.
ah,
Those were the street names, yeah, which I thought was pretty cool, actually.
what's the kind of like a dad's fun nickname that he likes is it Big Wave Dave that you like, Dad?
Yeah.
Did I have that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like it, but it's catchy, so I use it.
Big Wave Dave. I like
Well,
it.
Mom used to always call him Davy or Davy.
Oh, that's right. I do remember
Yeah,
that.
so that's why I chose that
Makes
name.
perfect sense. Gotcha.
And I figured, Kathy's Way should always be Mom's way.
Yeah.
So do you have other land development projects in the works or still in the kind of preliminary phases or?
I don't have anything in the works just yet, so
More to come there, right?
yeah. Hopefully
Cool.
soon, but right now nothing in the pipeline.
I know you were also doing contract web design and marketing. Are you still doing that or are you busy enough with this other endeavor?
I'm busy enough with this other endeavor. So I was this company that I'm working with now, I've been they were my primary client for the past year. And so we were working together really well. So I asked them if I could come work for them. So
Cool.
yeah, so I
And that's
officially just am
been
working for
pretty
them.
recent, right?
Yeah, that's just been in the last 2 weeks that I came on officially as an employee for them. Before that, I was just
Doing
freelancing.
contract work, freelancing
Yeah,
for them. Nice.
yeah. So
Cool.
they're sort of my my main focus right now.
So this is a little bit of a random question for you.
I feel like I
But
need
the
to
other
put that
thing
there.
I remember talking to you about a few months ago was you were exploring dual citizenship getting your Canadian citizenship. Are you still working on
Yeah,
that?
I am. This
Is
is
it
this is
official?
the No, this is actually headed to Canada. This is my paperwork to get my citizenship certificate from Canada.
Ooh,
So
nice.
because mom was still a Canadian citizen when she had me and when she had Darren, and I don't know about Kyle, but she was still a Canadian citizen when I was born. I guess I then can be a citizen or am a citizen, and I just have to claim my Canadian citizenship.
Right.
So that's the process I'm going through right now. The other process I was going through was trying to obtain a copy of mom's birth certificate from Canada and or birth registration that would somehow list both her birth mother and birth father's name, to do a little bit of research there. I've been unsuccessful with that because I did get the documents from Canada, but there is no birth father listed. So only
Right.
the birth mother was listed, whose name we already knew and haven't been able to find any information on. But I was just always sort of curious because mom and I had talked about the fact that she was Swedish, and she had told me that she found her birth dad's name and that he was Swedish as well as her mother.
Oh,
So
really?
I was intrigued, and I don't know where she found that. She said she had a document. We've never been able to find it, but I was interested in sort of tracing that through Sweden to find out some of that history. But yeah, I don't have a name
Hmm.
for her.
So just to be clear, in case there's non-family members watching,
Yeah,
mom was adopted. So we're talking about her natural parents that
yeah,
she knew very little about.
yep,
That's why it's a little difficult to get birth certificates or much information from Canadian government.
And she was
exactly.
adopted when she was only like a few months old, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
So,
So we actually have the adoption paperwork, which is pretty cool. But again, it only lists the mother and then grandma Betts and grandpa Betts.
right. And Grandma and Grandpa Betts weren't all of mom's brothers and sisters adopted as well. I think that's
Yes.
accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know the details, but some of them were actually related to each other.
That's
Oh,
what
really?
I heard too. Yeah, I thought Aunt Diane was actually related to Grandpa Betts, and they adopted her
Well,
from a family member.
that's interesting. I'm not sure I knew that, but what I meant was the siblings were somehow related to each other.
I
Some
didn't
of
know
them,
that.
I didn't
a
know that
couple
Yeah,
of
either.
them at least. I can't remember who.
Hmm.
that's cool. I would like to find out some more information. There's a journal floating around of grandmas that you had typed up back in the day, Dad, and I read it. Leanne Peaches had a copy of it, and I read it on the way to. We were driving to Canada after Grandpa Betts had died, and she had it in the car. So I read that whole journal, and there's a lot of details in there about the various adoptions that Grandma and Grandpa did. But I need to get a copy of that, or we should probably get a copy of that
Yes,
from
I should.
Peaches.
I don't know if I told you this, but I was looking at my computer and I found my grandma used to use a computer called Leading Edge computer, and it had a leading edge word processor,
I
which was a
remember.
proprietary deal. And I found a program that could convert those documents to Word. So I have, and one of those documents is called personal history. So that
Hmm.
you may have read this one, maybe the same one you already read, but it's now in Word format, and I should send that to you.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. I picked up another little journal that Grandma had written that I'm typing up, and it was a little bit more detail about when Grandma Betts was a kid and talked about her a little bit about her life growing up in Canada, and I can't remember what area she was in British Columbia, but she talked about that with her sister, Great Aunt B, and then also talked about her mom, our great grandma, and a little bit about the fact that she had epilepsy, which I did not know that.
Wow. Grandma
Yeah,
Betts did?
no, great grandma Betts had
okay.
epilepsy, which
So
is
her
just
mother.
interesting. Yeah.
I
And
did not know
she
that.
they would call them spells, and she would be sort of needing to rest for a day or two after having an epileptic episode.
It's interesting. So there
I
is a
know.
family history of epilepsy,
Yet not blood related, so it's very confusing.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right? Because it's, I mean, we have epilepsy a lot in the family, but
Yeah.
not through blood. So it doesn't, I don't get it.
Yeah.
maybe
Strange.
epilepsy's just common. I don't know. Maybe it was just common
Coincidental.
in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I should mention also, in converting these documents, I found a lot of them were letters that she had written
Oh,
to grandchildren,
Hmm.
and almost in every letter she would talk about the family, what Darren was doing and Kelly was doing. So there's some pretty nice tidbits in there that
Oh, that's fun.
you need to read about.
yeah, that's awesome that she documented those things. I was never good at journaling, so I'm glad grandma
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I think she was really good at that too.
She
I
did
think
it
she
pretty
did that.
regularly.
Yeah. I do
She
remember
was
her doing that.
she was a writer. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very talented. She was a writer. She played piano really well, just like Dad. She made a lot of sweaters and blankets. Yeah, she had a lot of talent. She did genealogy. She did a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She did 2
she was
missions,
quite.
right?
She did two. Yeah, she did one in
Yeah.
Argentina, which was sort of wild because I don't remember how old was she. Do you remember, Dad, when she went to Argentina?
I'm thinking she was in her 70s.
I
Really?
thought so too. Which I was like, she's going to Argentina alone in her 70s.
And
Yeah.
she's giving shots to missionaries and doing healthcare things.
Yeah.
She tells a story of one missionary that climbed up on the roof to escape her shot.
Really?
But she was proud that she finally got him
Tackled
convinced,
him.
and she gave such a good shot that he was not disturbed by it anymore.
So she had her
Oh,
PhD in nursing, if I recall. Is that correct?
She did obtain that. It was actually an education degree and a doctorate, and but she did obtain that late in life.
Yeah.
yeah.
And she got some discouragement from the faculty, but she pursued it and did get a doctorate and used it in teaching in the Provo Orem area.
I sort of remember going to her graduation ceremony
I
for her
definitely do.
doctorate.
Yeah,
That
I
was in
definitely
Utah,
do.
right?
Yep.
Yes, her son Bill Betts.
BYU.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I remember the apartment that she had a pool.
Mm.
So what?
Like
So
when she was going to school there, we would drive down to visit a few
so
times.
there's
And go ahead.
sorry. So I don't want to get too laden with details, but it's interesting. Um, the mom did her final year. She did 2 years at Ricks College, 1 year at the University of Calgary, and the last year at BYU, where she graduated with a degree in elementary education. That last year, Grandma Betts went with her, and they got an apartment together in Provo.
Yeah.
And that's when Grandma started school. Now, what happened was Margaret finally decided to divorce Larry.
Right.
And Larry's a fascinating and great guy, but he'd be hard to live with.
Oh yeah.
So you could kind of understand it. But so since she kind of left home, they started a place down in Provo, and both of them went to school. And Kathy, mom, graduated, and Grandma Betts continued until she got her doctorate. Anyway.
Nice. So, since we're talking about Grandma Betts and Grandpa Betts a little bit there, Dad, you and I were talking, I think yesterday, and you shared one of the Grandpa Betts stories. Wonder if you want to share that. Yeah.
It's short. One of my favorite stories, and there's so many. They're just
so
hilarious. And Grandpa Betts could just go on and on with stories and just have us rolling on the floor laughing because things were so different back in his time, and what they got away with and did was amazing. Well, one time they were traveling in two vehicles, I believe. They had one vehicle and Grandma had a friend by the name of Francis that was traveling with them, and Larry, I think he had someone with him too. I don't think Francis was married, so I don't think it was husband. But at any rate, and they had two vehicles. The one that Larry and his friend had, they had a trailer that they were towing, and then I think the other guy was driving the other car, maybe, and maybe Francis was married. I don't know. Anyway, the vehicle hauling the trailer had a flat tire, so Larry decided to send Grandma and Francis ahead to get some help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were bringing the trailer over to hitch it up to the car. Maybe they were just carrying. Maybe they just needed to get the trailer delivered. I don't know the details, but they were going to hitch the trailer up to the car and send Grandma Betts and Francis off. Well, I guess they were kind of excited to travel together, so they got in the car and took off, and they were just chatting away as only Grandma and Francis could do, just having fun. And at one point, Grandma says, "Francis, it's so easy towing a trailer. I'm surprised." And she looked in a rearview mirror, and there was no trailer. So they turned around and went back, and apparently they had left before Larry had actually got it hitched up. And anyway, Larry was hopping mad.
Hopping mad.
And Darren suggested he was probably using his favorite phrase, "my shattered nerves."
My shattered nerves.
Yeah.
It was always a
It's,
treat when I got to hear that phrase.
And I don't tell it as nearly as well as she could tell it, but it was just hilarious because it helps to know the individuals. But
Yep.
That's funny. I remember that story.
Yep. We would play that rummy game, progressive rummy, later in Grandpa Betts's life, probably with Grandma Betts too.
Yeah.
But I do remember when he would come to visit, usually for the 4th or something like that, we'd play a lot of those rummy games. And if you beat him good, those were the phrases that would my shattered nerves.
And you can't bring up a card game without talking about Rook.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
that was the lifeblood of it. Yeah, any visit, even when after the divorce, they were amicable. That's the right word.
Yeah.
And we'd play Rook together, Grandma Betts and Larry and Mom and I, and
is that a Canadian?
I don't know how Canadian it is, but it was a huge thing where they grew up in Cranbrook because they would have Rook tournaments.
Yeah.
It was amazing to me.
But you go anywhere, you talk about it to anyone else and nobody knows that game, right? Like go off to college and be like, "Oh, I have Rook. You guys want to play Rook?" Nobody knows what that is.
Yeah. And it was just such a staple in our home because it was such a big part of Mom's life at home, and it come to find out when I looked at some of the rule book for Rook, the game we were playing was not described anywhere.
Oh,
really?
It's some sort of Canadian. I mean, it must have been official as far as the tournament was concerned, because I'm sure they played it. It's kind of a one high game, but it's not the one high game in the rule book.
Right.
And so I don't know where the that version of the rules came, but yeah, it was the one we played. So if you do find somebody to play Rook, it's very unlikely they're going to play the same Rook game that we were used to playing.
Well, I did run into that because Mom did send me back to Albuquerque when I was living in Albuquerque, both Andrea and I, with a deck of Rook cards. And so we roped in a few friends of ours to play one night. And I was looking through the rule book, and this was not the game that I was brought up playing. So we ended up playing, our version.
Yeah, good.
But nobody knew what it was. They liked it, though. Yeah, pretty cool.
I just remember that the kids weren't really allowed to play.
Till you got
older, yeah.
We were like, well, it's only the adults that get to play.
Yeah.
So then it made it really cool.
Because it was a serious game.
It was serious. No kids allowed to ruin it.
Yeah.
It was taken seriously.
Table got cleared. There would always be like cherries because Grandpa would always bring cherries. I remember
Yes.
that, dude.
Really? I
Bags
don't
full of
remember.
cherries
Yeah.
with the pits.
Yeah. Yep.
I just remember the peanut M&Ms.
That was a
Well,
mom
those
thing.
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a mom thing. Yeah.
That was a mom thing for sure. Well, we've kind of segued a little bit into this new segment that we were going to try today, including, mom stories essentially would be the segment, and where we would just kind of share stories about mom. If we want to dive into that, we can.
Like it.
There's so many.
There is so
I know.
many.
That's why I'm like, okay, let me think.
I know.
Mom stories. Who's gonna go first?
Darren, I don't know how well you could tell this story, but remember the time Mom had her car broke down or something? She needed you to come help
I
her.
I do not. Jog my
Well,
memory.
she somehow called you at home.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, you started off on your bicycle, but you had no idea where she was, and she was so upset. You turned the wrong way and went on. She was so mad because
I don't remember this.
you just went off to go get her. No idea where she was.
So she would have called the landline, right? Because this was obviously before cell phones. And did she give me instructions, or did I just like hop on my bike before she was able to tell me where I was, where she was?
That was the problem. You just sort of hung up. Okay, bye.
Let's be fair. I have a lot of those direction stories. I know that you can share the one in college with helping me set up the PC.
That was fun. That's not exactly a mom story, but
No.
that was like in the old days when we had modems hooked up to the PC, and you shared a modem with the phone.
Yeah.
Sorry, with the PC, and you shared the modem with the
phone line.
Phone line.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm talking to Darren on the phone, explaining how he can do the modem. So what you'll do, Darren, is you'll unplug the cord from the phone and plug it, but don't do it. Click.
Yep.
Don't do it right now. I was going to say.
I don't listen to all the directions. I just go.
Just go.
Yeah. I'm all action.
I have a story.
Yes.
Okay.
I just found a picture to accompany it too. That's
Nice.
fun.
Good.
I know. So do you remember when we used to, well, we camped a lot growing up, but one year we went camping, and I think I was probably 16, and we went camping to Cherry Hill.
Yes.
Do you remember that place that had
Yeah.
like it had like a water park,
I do.
and it also had like miniature golf and air hockey and all sorts of like arcade games too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool. And this year, you guys let me bring a friend. So I brought Katie with us. And one day, Katie, myself, and I think Darren was with us. We went rollerblading.
Yep.
You remember?
Yep. I do.
We went rollerblading, and I was never good at braking on rollerblades. So we were going down a hill, and of course I couldn't brake. So I went off onto the grass and fell and like injured my wrist. And so we came back to mom and dad, and I was like, okay, I think I injured my wrist. And mom was like, we got to take you to the hospital. And the calls were with us too. And Charlie was like, yeah, we got to go to the hospital. And so mom was like, I'm going to go call and find the nearest hospital. So she went to a payphone. So she walks over to a payphone. I don't go with her. I don't know if anybody went with her, but the payphone was on some kind of a step up, like a concrete step up that she had to step up onto. And either while she's getting up there or after the call, I think she stepped down and sort of fell.
Yes. I think
And
she
put her
forgot.
hand-
I think she forgot she was on a step.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she put her hand down and she injured herself. And so we both end up at the hospital because she had injured herself. And I just had like barely an injury, but mom had broken 2 fingers, right? So it was like, so this is here's a picture like this is me bandaged up. This is at Cherry Hill at the miniature golf.
Right.
But mom actually had a splint. I don't have a picture of her because she never let me take pictures of her. But mom had like a splint on 2 of her fingers, and she actually was the one that was truly injured in the episode.
I think so. She just didn't want you to go through it alone.
I know. I was like, that's so thoughtful.
Well, I have a mom story that I can share. Do you guys remember the whitewater rafting trip?
Yes.
So I think most of us were older. I don't know how old I was. I want to say it was probably in the 90s, but I was certainly out of high school, I think.
Yeah, I had come from San Diego for this trip.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was the entire family, I believe, and we had kind of arranged a guide for one of the river guides down.
It was out of Jackson Hole. It was
Yeah.
Hoback Junction.
Lewis and Clark expedition.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to put in for this trip, and Kyle kind of starts things off with a joke because Kyle had just gotten back from some sort of scout camper where he worked as a counselor or something. I can't remember what he was doing there, but he was at a scout camp and he'd heard this joke. And so to tell this story, I have to tell the joke. So the joke goes, this older guy is interviewing to be a counselor at a scout camp, and the man who's interviewing him says that this could be a really challenging job, a really tough job. Can you give me an example of something that will show your toughness? And he said, "Oh, sure, you bet. I used to work for a logging company, and I was a topper." So I climb up, 100 feet to these big trees, and I top the trees, and then I climb back down and go to the next tree. Well, one day I was up, 100 feet in the air on this tree trying to top it, had my chainsaw going, and the chainsaw got away from me, and I managed to cut off my left arm. And the left arm went flying all the way down 100 feet down to the ground. And there's really nobody around. You're kind of isolated in the woods. So the only thing I could kind of do was try to shimmy myself down the tree with this one arm. So I made it down to the ground, and once I got there, again, there's nobody around. I'm miles away from any kind of assistance. So the only thing I can do is take the lace out of my boot. I took the lace out of my boot and I sewed my left arm back on, and then walked out of town and went to the hospital and all that stuff. And the counselor's just impressed. He's like, "Wow, that is the most amazing story I've ever heard in my life." He's like, "You definitely got the job." And the guy says, "Cool. Got to get the camera right.
Get it in camera. Get it in shot. There you go.
Cool." And so it became kind of this mantra for the entire rafting trip. Whenever anything cool would happen, everybody kind of took their turn finding that moment where they went, "Cool." Right? So we get done rafting and we're going to dinner, and we're at dinner, and Mom finally finds her moment where she's going to, jump into this game of ours. I can't remember what it was, but she popped up and she very proudly went, "Cool." and then she looked at it and she was like, "Wait, this isn't quite right." And then they did this. No. So needless to say, that became the new the new bit for the rest of the weekend. Cool. I'm sure it's cool. And she was a good sport as always, and took it. It's still one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All righty. Any
I
more
feel like
mom
we could
stories?
probably tell a lot of stories.
We could. And this is why, Dad and I were talking. It's like, this should be a segment for every episode, especially with family. So more to come.
Can
Well,
I
should
just
we
throw
call
up
it?
a random picture?
Sure.
Yeah,
Pictures are
Because
great.
I just came across this.
Let's do the picture segment. That's a new
Yeah,
segment.
This is kind of
picture.
funny. Yeah, just random picture segment because they're not organized at all. But this one I just came across.
Ooh,
Check out Dad's mustache.
Dad's stash.
I think you're helping me study. I don't know what you're doing. I think that's a calculator.
Yeah, it has to be. It's not a cell phone.
I think it's my
It's not a cell phone.
TI 85. My Texas Instrument
be,
85, which I still have.
Oh, do you?
I do, and it still works.
You know that table in that picture?
Yeah, yeah.
It's down in the guest bedroom in the basement.
Oh, you still have that?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, and all that furniture, the blue furniture and the frilly kind of lamps, took that. Darren and I took that to Pocatello with our first apartment.
That's
well,
right.
then I'll show a picture of that. Because that was the one that we looked at a little earlier before we started this. There's a picture. This is Darren, myself, and Mom at my first apartment with Darren in Pocatello. Yep. And I think this is probably moving day, and you can sort of see the blue furniture that we got to take because you and Mom got new furniture. I don't know what you got, but at that time. But we stole all your furniture.
Yes, we did.
And then, Darren was my roommate in Pocatello.
How was he as a roommate?
Terrible.
We had a lot of good times, though.
Oh, Darren, you would sit around and play guitar all the time. Yeah. And we would have people come over.
That was a good time.
Yeah, you just play guitar. And what was the song that you would always play?
No, it was American Pie. Everybody was asking me to play American Pie.
Everybody wanted you to play American Pie. We'd have people over I was working at the Press Box, a little sports restaurant and bar, and everybody would come over. And Darren would always play that song, and it was like a sing-along.
Well, it's not a very challenging song to play per se. The challenge comes to memorize all of the lyrics that are involved with that very lengthy song.
I know.
And for whatever reason, I memorized the whole thing. So I think that was the impressive part, is that I knew all the lyrics.
Oh, really? That was the lyrics versus the actual song and playing it?
I just remember everybody wanted me to play it, and I mean, I learned it, I liked it, but after a while it got old.
Yeah.
The other one I would always make you play,
or at least remembers me playing it.
Yeah, you played it a lot.
Yeah.
There was another I remember. In my memory, I feel like I made you play, which was I have to show that picture, which was Silent Lucidity. Do you remember playing that?
Vaguely.
Because I really liked that song for some reason.
I thought you were going to do the Saigon Kick one that we always used to laugh about.
Oh, man. Love the Saigon Kick.
Yeah.
We actually need to probably cue that song up at one point in a podcast, in a future podcast. Rando songs of the time that we liked. Okay, so that was a good picture. One of the other ones that I feel like needs to exist on record is Darren with our family dog Taffy, whom I loved. And I have no idea why you took a picture with Taffy, because none of us did this except for you.
Well, you can tell I look really happy about
you were
posing.
Super stoked. Yeah, let's make sure this exists a little longer.
I was voluntold for this one, I'm sure.
What is with that pose, Darren? This angle.
I was told every bit on how to pose and all of it, and you can see behind the eyes is a lot of contempt.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of what Mom would say, shooting daggers with your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shooting daggers.
Sure. Yeah. I was not happy about that, but Mom was pretty maniacal about her pictures, though.
This is kind of a mom story, really quick. When we lived in LA and Darren he couldn't have been more than 2. He may have been just 2. I had a friend that I grew up with in high school, and really close friend named Champ McCulloch. And Champ was really good to Mom, and she had opportunity to go to premieres because Champ was in the entertainment world. He worked for Johnny Carson, and so he was always involved in something. And Mom, anyway, at one point through Champ, somehow they had a fashion show, this place or company or whatever, and they needed a young kid, a 2-year-old, to model some clothes. And so Darren had this opportunity to start his showbiz career.
Oh, Darren, supermodel.
And I was the real star that was born.
But Darren did not
clearly
take to it. He was not happy, and he was not a happy child. And so Mom Mom was so clever. She got Darren dressed up. Darren is still whining about this. He doesn't want to do it. And so she talked him into walking, whatever you call that thing. What do you call that when you walk the thing?
Catwalk?
Catwalk, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
by giving him a sucker. He put the sucker in his mouth, and she went down to the other end of the catwalk, and he walked it and back, and just perfectly. But you wouldn't have
With his
known that
sucker?
that could have happened before that sucker. He was not going to do it. But Mom was. I mean, who would have come prepared with a sucker to do this? I mean, she was very smart.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So that was what, the beginning and the end of Darren's modeling career?
I think that would be the end of his modeling career. I think. But,
Kidding, I was a hit.
He did go on. He did go on to an acting career.
Yeah.
That
Every
is
single
true.
acting career that I had to have the sucker too.
Right?
Yeah, I remember like
That
so
would
when
be funny.
Darren started acting in Idaho Falls, and he roped Carrie into it as well for a brief period. They did some plays out there, but then
I
Darren
think it was
moved
the
to,
other way around, by the way.
was it?
Yeah. Like
I didn't know that.
I was telling Carrie that she should go for this because she was always the performer, as I recall.
Yeah.
And she was nervous about going to an audition, and she's basically said, "Well, I'll go if you go." And I was like, "I don't care. I'll go. I'm not going to get cast." And Carrie and
lo
I
and
both got
behold,
cast.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how it started, as I
But then
recall.
you pursued it more so than Carrie, because Carrie sort of stopped doing acting. You pursued it thoroughly, and then even came out to Boise Meridian area, and that's the second time that you came and lived with me briefly, and you were a much better housemate at that time because you mowed the lawn and you took care of my dog. Yeah. So
I
and you
mowed
mowed the lawn.
poorly.
You mowed the lawn poorly because it was an electric lawnmower and you ran over the cord.
Yeah.
So that happened. But you
Who
fixed
has
it.
an electric lawnmower? Who has an electric lawnmower?
I still have one, but it doesn't have a cord anymore. It has a battery now.
Yeah.
So yeah. But then
Yeah.
you pursued a lot of acting out here. You even did a commercial.
Yes, I was going to say we need to do not this time, of course, but
Yeah.
we need to do a little bit where I assemble some clips from Darren's acting career.
Yes.
And
Then he
I'm
roped
going-
you into, Dad, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
also then
Yeah,
ended up
there's
on
that.
stage.
This wasn't
Yeah.
exactly acting, but yes, he did. It wrote me into some.
Hey, you had some lines. You were acting.
Yeah, it was very brief.
Acting, singing, dancing, the whole works.
And doing
Hey,
that one
Carrie-
move where you
Carrie
jumped up and
was-
tried to click your heels together.
Oh yeah, you had a heel click.
I had never
Heel
been able
click.
to do that any time in my
Your
life.
whole life, you said.
My
Yeah.
whole life, but I had to learn it, and finally I did. But Carrie was very good at acting, by the way. I was
Yeah.
impressed. Darren is good at acting. They get none of it from me because I was so what do you call it, self-conscious about I couldn't act. So
Yeah.
it all comes from Mom.
Well, Mom
I thought
used
you
to
did a
be in
good job,
shows.
Dad.
I
Mom
mean,
did?
yeah, absolutely. When we were going through, I can't remember the last time we were there. We were going through the storage unit at one point, and I saw a playbill with Mom's name listed in. It was a musical of some sort, but she was listed as one of the actors in the musical.
I think I remember you showing that
And
to
it-
me. Yeah.
And it all clicked with me because Mom knew every show tune out there. Like, that was one thing that we could always relate to, is especially when I was doing a lot of musicals, is she knew every show tune, every bit.
Well,
Yeah, she did.
But the point is, she knew every song. It didn't have to be a show tune. She knew all songs.
I guess that's true.
I was just so impressed. I mean, late in our marriage, she would come up with a tune I'd never heard of. They just kept coming.
Yeah. Yeah. She had a memory like a steel trap, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
Wait. Can I
more
show another
pictures?
picture?
Sure. of
Yeah, at least a
course.
couple, and then I'll stop. But
right.
because it's hilarious. Because we looked at this one a little earlier before we started it.
Oh, yeah.
This is this is funny because this is Darren right here, and then I'm in the middle, and then that little one over on this side is Kyle, and Kyle was the prettiest child, Mom would say.
Oh,
And she grew his hair out long because he
Yeah.
had the prettiest curly blonde hair.
she would curl it in church.
She
you
did? I didn't
remember?
remember
Oh yeah,
that.
she
I didn't remember
absolutely
that.
did.
What do you mean by she would curl it?
She would curl it in church. She would sit with Kyle on her lap, and she would comb it out and like just be brushing his hair and curling his the back locks with the comb.
Well, they were naturally
Well, his hair
curly.
was really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was naturally curly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she would comb it all during church. I remember vividly.
And then I have to show like
Kyle and his hair. Okay, sorry, go on.
Okay, no. Okay, we could talk about Kyle's hair some more, but this is fun because this little blonde wig thing is made of yarn, and Mom made this for me, and I don't remember specifically why, but we used it forever, and
strand by strand. Yes.
I know, that's a lot of work.
And then I think Carrie did
made
use
that
it
thing.
later, right?
She did. We all used it for like various different like things.
It was
because
awkward when I showed up for trick or treating with that thing on. It was
You know,
a
it was
little
weird. Yeah, people were like, "That's a little too far."
That's a little...
Too far, Darren.
Listen,
too far.
I'm still trying to get back to the catwalk, so.
You were channeling your inner catwalk childhood, and you were like, "Where's my sucker?
Where's my sucker?
Where's my lollipop?"
Trick or treat! I want a sucker.
Okay, this one's gonna be really hard to see, but I just came across this and I think it's really cool because this, I don't know if you remember, Dad. This is you and me at a father-daughter dance, and I dressed as a grandma.
Oh my goodness!
I know it's really hard to see because this is a Polaroid, but this is I was dressed up as a grandma.
Wow.
It was like a church dance.
I don't remember.
And
that.
like I had a cane, and I put Mom put like a white powder in my hair to make it gray.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
You know, I may still have it, but you know that Mom had an old lady costume that she kept and drug out for various events to be an old lady, you know. And yeah, she'd love to be the old lady.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Well, okay, just because I will stop after this, but do you remember this, Dad?
Yes, I do.
I don't remember.
Now this is for a play I was in. Ooh. And I don't remember the name of the play. Do you, Dad?
No.
But it was a church play, and we had to do like this part where I had to pre-record my script, and then they would play it over while I was walking down the aisle during the play. And so we went into a recording studio with Charlie Call, I believe. And I don't know whose recording studio it was, but we would record all my lines, and then during the play I actually didn't have to say any lines live. I would just walk down the aisle in that outfit, and then whatever my lines were would play overhead. So
wow.
As if you were thinking the lines or something?
Well, because I was like an angel. Okay. And I was like the future child of this girl who was waiting for her return missionary. Do you remember this at all?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And like this girl who was my future mom was like a teenager, and I thought she was the coolest thing. And she was like one day going to take me to the mall and take me shopping, and I was so excited because I was a little kid and she was like a teenager, but she never showed up. I'm still waiting. I want to go to the mall. I was like sitting on that blue couch. Well, it wasn't the blue couch at the time, but at the Sequoia house, I was sitting on the couch just waiting for her. The big window we had, just waiting for her to pick me up. And Mom was like, "I don't think she's going to come." And I was like, "What?" What? I just sat there waiting all day on a Saturday. And I don't know what happened, but I got crushed.
It's like a little sad puppy dog story.
You know, it's like, what? It was. Obviously, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So that's my one and only play. Yeah.
Sounds like one for the therapist.
Okay, but Okay, really, this will be the last pictures because this one's pretty good. So there is. Who's that? You recognize that kid? That would be Darren.
I was gonna say Darren, but I wasn't sure. Who's below?
Who's he sitting on?
That's a good
Rude.
question.
That's me.
Is that you?
That is me. I feel like that's the beginning of the torture,
Oh yeah.
where you just like sit on me and you like give like yeah.
Oh yeah.
That continued for most of our life.
I mean, I think there's a whole podcast that will involve how Darren tortured every last one
All
of
of the
his siblings.
siblings, yes. And then I just want to show one of mom that
Oh,
is super
that's
cute,
so good. Yeah.
right? And that's I assume that's Darren because I think that photo I just showed was the only
Well,
one
we know it's
ever.
not you because the film is gone for that one.
Yeah. That's so cute
I
though.
wonder
of
where
Mom.
that is. Wow.
I know. I'm like, and then last one for real, because that'll be one more of Darren and myself.
Yeah.
I don't
Darren,
I remember
know.
that photo.
Darren doesn't have a lollipop, so he's not happy.
He's grumpy. Look at that. Look at
Yeah.
that curmudgeon face. It's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of the same. Have you always been an old curmudgeon?
I think so. Yeah. It does make sense. It all
It
adds up.
Yeah, it tracks.
Andrea would certainly agree.
Yeah. I feel like we could probably share a ton of photos, but I will stop now because
That's good. That
Yeah.
needs to be a continuing segment, but yeah, we can't do them all at once.
Yep.
But okay, I
absolutely.
want to like ask one thing. Unless Darren, do you have a piece that we need to transition to?
Nope.
Okay. Because we're like next week is Thanksgiving.
Right.
So like I wanted to talk a little bit about one Thanksgiving when we were growing up, but also I wanted Dad to share if he felt like it, what Thanksgiving was like for him growing up with his family. Because I don't think you've ever
Ooh,
told
that's a good
us
one.
if you have any memories around that, or because I assume you have like school off back in the, a long time ago.
That was very, very not so subtle.
I know, right? And like, did you guys do a whole Thanksgiving dinner? Did you go very traditional? Because for our family, it was always a very traditional Thanksgiving that Mom would put together.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that's something you grew up with.
Yeah. Yes. Often it was at a grandma's house. Grandma, my dad's mom.
Oh, gotcha.
In fact, not to be a downer, but at one Thanksgiving it's kind of a weird thing. All right, we had a grandma and grandpa Mac on one side of the family. On the other side of the family, we had a grandma and grandpa Mac.
Oh,
We grew up thinking everybody had a grandma Mac because it was grandpa and grandpa Mac, because it was McCormick on one side and I've forgotten now, and Macmillan on the other side. So they're both Macs, and so it was kind of silly to call them Grandma and Grandpa Mac because you still didn't know which pair you were talking about.
Right.
Anyway, at Grandma and Grandpa Mac's one Thanksgiving, my dad's side, down in Torrance, California, we went to Thanksgiving down there, and that's the same. I don't remember the day of the week, but it was the same period that JFK was assassinated.
Oh.
Oh,
So it was a huge deal.
yeah.
I hope I
Well,
got
so
that story right. Was he assassinated in November? I should have looked that up first.
I know we should probably Google that. We should ask the goo.
That's what I
But
thought.
it was 1969, no, right?
No.
What was it?
I know someone's got to
It was
Google
the 60s.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
60. It was 63. November
Oh.
22nd. November 22nd, 1963. So I have it right. We were at Thanksgiving
Wow.
time. And
Would you have been in San Luis Obispo then?
Arroyo Grande, yeah. No. Yeah, Arroyo Grande, yeah, for sure.
Interesting. So how did that change Thanksgiving?
Well, JFK, no matter what party you were in, he was very popular.
For sure.
It was, I mean, and even if he wasn't so popular, it was still a kind of earth-shaking event to have a president assassinated. So
Yeah.
it was a very somber time.
So it did change the mood for Thanksgiving. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But otherwise,
but otherwise, it was very traditional. But I don't.
With Grandma Black cook.
Yeah, but I really don't remember that much. I just know that it was traditional, and we had the typical turkey and stuffing, and just the typical.
I mean, because you have a large family. There's a lot of siblings there.
Lots.
So, that's kind of a huge gathering, especially if you bring in grandparents too.
I was trying to think real quick. There must have been at least myself, Keith, Susan, Karen, at least those 4 in 1963.
Okay.
Probably more than that, but so.
And then because then go down the siblings for me in order.
Myself.
You're the oldest, yeah.
Yes. Keith, Susan, Karen. I don't miss anybody. Meryl.
Yeah.
Brian.
Nancy.
Oh no. Was Nancy first?
That's what I can't remember.
No,
Brian was older.
I don't think so. Brian, Nancy, and
that's the way I remember it.
And then Leanne.
Yeah,
that's a big family.
That's quite a family, yeah. And spanning because you're the oldest and Leanne is how many years younger than you?
I think I was about 20.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So that's quite a range.
That is. Wow.
May have been 21 actually.
But you guys had the turkey, probably the mashed potatoes, gravy, all that stuff. But I'm betting that you did not have yummy potatoes.
No. But we did have
that was definitely a Canadian mom thing.
We did have the sweet potato yam thing going on.
Okay, there you go. Are yummy potatoes Canadian, or is that like a?
Aren't they?
No,
the same?
I think that's more like the Mormon thing that they also.
Isn't that? Aren't potatoes? They also the funeral? Yeah, aren't they just
They're
the
funeral potatoes? But I think Mom maybe coined the phrase "yummy potatoes."
They were always yummy potatoes in our
because
house.
Nobody I've asked about it knows them as yummy potatoes. They know them as funeral potatoes.
Yeah. So it probably wasn't a Canadian thing, but
is a momism.
Mom thing.
Did we always do yummy potatoes at Thanksgiving? Because she would do the turkey, or she would do turkey and mashed potatoes, and I feel like we had the yummy at Christmas with the ham. She would do Christmas ham with the yummy potatoes.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving was traditional with mashed or whipped because she had that fancy dancy KitchenAid blender thing. Yeah, the KitchenAid, the high-end fancy KitchenAid that she would just whip the potatoes in.
Whip those potatoes, and then Kelly would always complain because she liked the lumps.
I like lumpy potatoes, and she made them so smooth. I was like, "There's no lumps. I want the lumpy potatoes." Nobody likes
Mom used to make meatloaf a lot.
Do you remember?
I do not.
Yeah.
At one time when Kelly was very young, Mom made a turkey, and I think Kelly was used to having just meatloaf come out of the oven because she proclaimed, "Mom, the meatloaf has handles." I thought that was the funniest thing. That was hilarious. I submitted it to Reader's Digest, but they didn't take it.
Did you really?
I was going to say, I thought you submitted that and one other story of mine to Reader's Digest, neither of which got picked up, which is sort of devastating for me.
And they were paying good money in those days. They don't.
Yeah, that's a now and then thing that the millennials and younger generation will not understand, right? They won't even know what you mean with that reference, I don't think.
The Reader's Digest was awesome. We would get that. I don't know how frequently it came out, but we would have it at the house. And I would always flip through it to read all the jokes and the funny stories. There were various sections of the Reader's Digest that had different types of jokes. And even just at the footer of some articles, there would be a little joke of some sort that the readers submitted and got paid for.
Yep. Yep.
So
And
yeah,
this was all before the interweb, when
yeah,
the periodicals like that were delivered to your door or
yeah,
delivered
yeah,
to your
yeah,
mailbox, right?
yeah. We got it in the mail.
How we got our
And so
interweb.
Dad submitted that story, and Mom told me that the other story you submitted was the one where I am playing in the front yard with Grandpa Betts, and he's trying to like we're either playing catch or he's throwing the ball and I'm supposed to be batting, and he's talking to me about something, and I'm maybe being a little, I don't know, stubborn or a little mouthy. And I was kind of talking to him and spitting at him while I was talking. And he's like, well, stop spitting in my face. And I said, that's not spitting. This is spitting. And
Oh
then I
yeah.
really spit in
Yeah,
his face.
that was a famous story. Yeah.
That's a classic
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't remember doing that. So just for the record,
Well, we
doesn't
don't
sound like me.
very convenient.
we don't care how true it was. It was too good a story to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And I
sure.
mean, I would never, Avi.
What'd you say, Dad?
I was imitating what she did.
I was like, no words came out.
This is spitting.
Patooey.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably call this. We
All right. This
overshot
is
pretty good.
This has been
Yeah, we
too.
did.
I wanted more time for this, but really quick. This is a family folklore. All right.
Yeah.
This has to do with Brimhalls.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the name Brimhall? We are related. We're from the Brimhall line. All right. So, can you see that and read it?
Yes, I
yeah.
can.
So down at the bottom is a Noah Brimhall, and that's the one we know most about. And
So-
his parents were Sylvanus, and Lydia. Are
Okay.
you done looking at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But how are we related to the Brimhalls?
Yeah, back us through that.
Well, I can kind of tell you. But I wanted to. So Noah Brimhall is kind of famous in our line of. This is going to be awkward because I have to hold this way to read it, but this is upside down, right? This is Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
And this is related to the story about Noah Brimhall. And it was made of lumber and pegged together and had a cabin in the center that the family could occupy. Anyway, Noah was born on Valentine's Day. It says he was a flaxen-haired baby boy, and he was number 10. Talk about 8 kids. He was number 10. And in honor of the newly constructed ark, they decided to name him Noah. Because they had constructed this ark. They lived near the Allegheny River. And so they had this ark. And trying to condense this story and not take too much time. So they had this wild idea that they would put the raft on the river and take it to St. Louis. And they say in here somewhere that the distance they would be traveling would be 2 times. It would be the same distance as 2 times across the Atlantic to London. You think, no, that can't be. But it's not as the crow flies. It's all the twists and turns of the river.
The tributaries. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was quite a distance. And this was when Noah was 6 weeks old.
Oh my gosh.
And the water was, when the ice broke up, that's when they left. And it was what they called the river was at full flood. Says they were put to supreme test on the river, and they were shooting rapids and what they call the Great Falls on the Allegheny River. Father and the 3 older sons steered the ark into the center of the falls, and down they went into the whirling, swirling, roaring, foam-maddened waters to rise triumphant, wet and happy from threatened disaster. And they just gathered up the small fries and carried on, they say. Like I say, I'm trying to abbreviate this a lot. They would anchor. They would float down the river and anchor by night. Eventually, they met up with another river that I can't pronounce. And further down, they finally reached the Mississippi. So now they're on the Mississippi, traveling on their ark. And it says this has been a model journey and was well planned by people who had faith they could and would execute their plans. It was guided by a fearless man. This would be Sylvanus, right?
Yeah.
Who was sustained by a faithful backseat driver. Parentheses, 'tis said, a good yawn is nature's way of letting a married man open his mouth. Oh, love those things, like Grandpa Betts would say or something. Anyway, sustained by a faithful backseat driver, enjoyed by a lot of rowdy, happy children, and so on. So, this might be interesting too, Darren. The ark was anchored at nightfall, and at the close of an eventful day, the family came gladly to their beds of rest that had not been broken in the wee hours of the following morning. Right out of the clear blue, there came a most startling sound, a call to arms, a call to be up and at it. The call runs like this: cock-a-doodle-doo. It's the clarion call of the domesticated cock for his hens to bestir themselves and get the worms ready for breakfast.
What?
Well, and then they say,
bestir?
Yeah, it's an old one. The next sentence, well, this is Indiana. Indiana, at a point later to be known as Dearborn. The sound of the cowbell taking the family milk source out of the grass, and the call of mothers. Somebody's trying to be poetic here. And the call of mothers to curious runaway children weakened Lydia. She and the children were housed here till Sylvanus and Sons drifted on to New Orleans in search of a suitable market for the ark. The family lived there for 13 years and then moved to Franklin, McHenry County, Illinois. Okay, now, so that's kind of the ark story that's so famous around Noah. But going back in time, there was a Bramall Hall. The name changed. It was Bramall, then it was Bromwell, and then in America it became Brimhall. I'm going to share my screen because I have to show you this. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, wrong window.
Like the house.
Yeah, that's our house, Darren. That is Bramall Manor, and no one lives there now. Rather, she is owned by the government and is held in trust for the public so that her grounds may be enjoyed as a park. The people who take care of her speak as though she has a spirit, and perhaps she does. The groundsmen don't permit a blade of grass to get out of place. When asked how they got the grass so beautiful, the seasoned caretaker said, well, you plant this special kind of grass, see? Then you fertilize, roll, trim, aerate, fertilize, roll, trim, aerate, and so on for a few hundred years, and pretty soon it gets to looking nice.
So is this in the UK?
This is in the UK, and it's I'm doing this part by memory. It's where is it located? It's near Manchester, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, here's a few pictures just for fun. These are just Google pictures submitted by tourists, I think.
Oh, I like that. Fancy.
Wow. Very Tudory.
Yes, it's called Bramall Tudor Home, I think, actually.
Oh, wow.
Wow, look at that paneling.
And so we need to, schedule a family trip to go to Britain and visit our old home.
We probably should.
Reclaim the house.
Reclaim the house.
I think we should take it back.
Yeah. Listen, we got it from here. Thanks
We
for
got
taking
this.
care of it, but we got it now.
Right. I'll go through these quick because you can always pause the video and look at them if you want.
For sure. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
So I have to ask the story about
Look at that.
You know-
Look at that. Can you believe this?
oh my gosh, the falls that they navigated Noah's Ark over, were these huge falls? Like what? How big were these falls?
I don't know. I am guessing that they were, I mean, they had to be the kind of falls that you could navigate, even though it was a little treacherous.
I mean, taking a 6-week-old over falls.
I get
Just
the impression
saying
I get the
sounds-
impression from the story where it says they loaded the wee ones up that they probably walked around and the older sons and such took it over the falls.
That would be the responsible thing to do, I suppose.
Right. This is a vacuum cleaner, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Look at those
Oh,
are little
yeah.
those are pedals and there's the
Okay, that's pretty cool.
that's pretty
Pretty.
nice.
That is pretty.
Somebody liked ducks. Christmas at the Bramwell Manor.
Yeah. The tapestries.
Yeah.
This is a castle, and we have many tapestries.
Now, I was hoping to find George Bromwell on here, but this is the Davenports, which I know we're related to somehow. But George Bromwell, which was on the listing I showed you at the beginning, he was born in the 1600s, so somewhere in here.
Gotcha.
I think it was built in the late 1300s.
Wild.
All right, so there's some
Oh,
pictures.
that was the picture of the falls.
Yeah, right.
There it is. I got to tell you, seeing the picture doesn't do the story justice.
Hey, hang on, boys.
Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That was a close one.
That just sort of reminds me of other Snake River stories, Hoback Junction, that we could talk about sometime. Darren and pals going.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Was that one rapid there? Start with a K, I think.
Big Kahuna.
Kahuna.
Oh.
And then at high water, it was Lunch Counter.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Anyway, that's another story for another day. All right. Well,
Another one.
we've taken up a lot of time here.
Yeah.
So
That's all right.
That's good.
right?
That's good. Absolutely.
pick one of your James Lipton questions and call it a day.
I don't think we need to go there, do we?
What's the James Lipton?
It's one thing that Darren wanted to do. Just pick one, Darren.
All right. So
Do
James
it.
Lipton was the host of Inside the Actors Studio. You may have seen them. They were on like PBS or something like that. But he would always have actors that he was at Pace University, and he would always have very successful actors come back and kind of talk about the craft for the students that attended Pace University. And he always ended the interview with a series of questions for his guests. And they're pretty quick, so I suppose we could do them. First question. What is your favorite word?
I know what it is.
This is a PG podcast, by the way, Kelly. So
This is for me.
this is for
I know
you.
what it is. I know what it is.
It would be my favorite word. Do you want to guess, Dad?
Julio.
Julio.
I do say Coolio a lot.
Oh, I thought you
But-
said Julio. I was like,
I know. I was
that's
like
a name.
Julio.
Julio.
So I do say Coolio, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. But I'll just say what came to my head when you said
Yes.
that, because that would probably be the thing, and there will be a story. My favorite word is no,
That's true. That's true.
and Mom would say that was the first word that I ever uttered,
Yep.
followed by the second word, why.
Yeah.
I think this probably helps people understand who I am. No and why.
So what
good.
is your least favorite word?
Least favorite word.
Yes.
No, right? Right? Oh man. I think I think my least favorite word is just because it's very popular now. It's just like literally because
Literally.
everybody says literally.
Literally.
If you're interested,
Literally.
if you're interested, my least favorite word is perfect.
Oh really? You don't like perfect?
Well, it's just so overused. You
It
do
is. I
something
use
with
it a
something that says
lot.
perfect, perfect. What will you
My-
have? That perfect.
Mine
You
is
can shorten it
irregardless.
now. What is it, Darren?
Irregardless.
Yeah,
Oh.
regardless. Yeah, that's a good one. Irregardless.
Irregardless. It's also my favorite word, probably,
That's both.
because it's just so wrong.
True.
All right, Kelly,
Perf.
what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
What?
What do you like?
What do I like?
What is your favorite thing?
And these are a few of my favorite things. Um,
When the dog bites?
when the dog bites. That makes me think of mom too because she really liked the sound of music
She
and
did.
yeah, and it makes me think of Disney movies on Sunday and that
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, many other ones. What do I
Sure.
like? I don't know. I like I mean, some of the things you listed. I like rock climbing, hiking, spending time with peeps that are cool.
What
EO.
don't you like?
Hmm.
What do you hate?
I dislike
These questions?
these questions immensely. I, I didn't realize how much hate I would have for them. I dislike
What's
drama.
what sound or noise do you love? What sound or noise do you hate? We're almost done.
Well, obviously, I would hate nails on a chalkboard. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
I don't
What
mind nails on the
sound?
whiteboard.
Whiteboards are fine. Sounds do I like? Like, I like the sound of accordions.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that is your new favorite thing. We should
Hey, do you
probably
have
end
it
it.
there? Do you
We
have
should
it
end
there?
this segment. We should end the show with the accordion.
With toy accordions.
Yeah. You have to play us something.
Well, I have to actually like follow.
Did I buy you your first accordion? I want to know that.
So yeah, okay, now I'm gonna have to tell a story about this because like I've always sort of liked accordions, but then I watched this movie that mom recommended to me called The Book Thief. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, mom read the book and she watched the movie and was like, we have to watch the movie. It's an amazing movie. And it's about World War II and this girl and then this her father, her adopted father, who has an accordion. And it's a very specific type of accordion. It's almost like shaped. I mean, it's got a really long bellows and it's
That's a
kind of
different
got like
thing, yeah.
almost 8 sides to it. I can't remember the name of it. I looked it up. And I just thought the way he played it in that movie was so great and had such a great sound. So I would tell you all the time that I wanted to play the accordion. But I was looking at one like that and they were like $8,000. And you were visiting me one time and you went to the music store and you bought me a toy accordion that was just like this, only red. And I played it a lot and I broke it. So I bought me a new one last year of the same one because now I actually think I'm more into toy instruments because I think they're hilarious. And you guys have your own bands, but I think I'm going to start a band with just toy instruments.
I think
Yeah.
that's such a good idea. I really do. That'd be hilarious.
And I want to do like really songs that don't make sense for an accordion. Sort of like some rock songs, some 80s,
Yeah.
90s
Polkas
music.
are out, right?
Yeah, no polkas. Just songs that actually you really shouldn't play with an accordion, but that's what I'm going to try to play.
Yeah.
So that's my actual next career path. So
Well, that even answers the next question on the questionnaire, because the next one was, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt? So,
two things:
oh,
playing the accordion and being like a trapeze artist in the circus. But
Oh
I
my
could combine the
gosh.
two, and I could
Yeah, I was gonna
play
say,
the accordion
combine the two.
while I'm flying through the air with the
I
greatest of
love
ease.
it. I love it. You
Right?
have such good ideas. Yes.
Because I did trapeze out here.
Yes,
Dad,
I
you were there. Darren,
remember.
you were there too. The whole
Yep,
fam
I
was
remember.
there. And Kyle did the trapeze with me because I convinced him to. And I loved it so much I did it more. They actually have a school out here that I really am thinking about joining.
That's awesome.
But I first have to learn
Will
the
they let you
accordion.
bring the accordion? That's the important
That's
part.
the important thing.
I mean, it's a requirement.
Yeah.
I'm a package deal.
And if they don't,
Accordion.
then you just have to go start your own trapeze school.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what profession would you not want to do?
Not want to do.
Uh-oh. This cryptic smile is worrying
I
me.
know. There are two professions represented here that I actually would not want to do full time, which is one that you do, Darren, sales.
Oh. Oh.
Ugh, that sounds so stressful. I don't think that's for me.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
cut out for
anybody
that.
really wants to do it.
And then dad, programming. Like I dabble, but I could not program all day long the way you do. Like I can do a little tiny bit, but then I have to no, I don't know how you do that all day.
I just really get absorbed in it sometimes. And working in a cubicle sort of office environment, people complain about phones ringing and stuff, but it never bothered me because I was just so
In the zone,
in the
in the programming zone.
I can still do that sometimes. I don't eat a lot because I just keep going. I get so focused on things.
Yeah, you are the type that really gets just like into something and you sort of like very passionate that you have to finish it. You're just like
I do.
all consumed. And I'm like, this is giving me a headache. I need to go get a trapeze.
I
need my accordion.
I know. I'm like, I need something else. My brain hurts.
So I have to ask this last one because something tells me that Kelly's going to have an interesting answer to the last James Lipton question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? It's such a corny question, but
well, I think the confusing part is am I really going to go to the pearly gates?
Well, that's where they give you directions. That way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what am I doing here? I think someone misrouted me.
So at the pearly gates, you're going to be like, am I on the list?
No, like, I don't think this is right. Someone made a mistake. It's a clerical error. I don't.
That was good.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the response.
I would be perplexed.
Well, what would be said to you is the question.
I think that's what they would say to me is there's been a clerical error.
I'm sorry.
We are perplexed. We are perplexed.
There's a different elevator for you.
It'll be like, I'm not seeing your name on the list here.
Let me look at the other list.
I assume there's an in-between space in which I belong.
There you go.
Just in the in-between.
Just in the in-between. All righty. Should we wrap this up? So
well, thank you for having me.
Yes, I was just going to say thank you for taking time out of your...
Thank you.
There you go. More pictures.
Guest number 1.
Yeah.
Guest number 1.
Jazz hands, dancing.
Well, so now we have to end it, Kelly, with the way that we kind of started it, right? Like instead of hi pops, it's going to be bye pops. And then you have to do your line.
Later, father. That's not what I say. I usually say. Coolio? No.
Coolio.
No, that's not it. That's not it either. Line, please.
That's it. We're gonna make this an Irish
No,
goodbye.
I usually say later, dad, and then I say love you.
There you go.
Thank you.
And then I
I
say
love you
goodbye,
all.
Darren.
Bye, Darren.
Goodbye.
Darren, kick rocks.
And then I say,